Let's do it. Welcome to episode, is it 38 or 39? I don't remember, but
I
39
think
of
it's
the
yeah, it's
Danso
39, I
Pitch.
think.
Yeah. Welcome to episode 39 of the Danso Pitch podcast. I am your host, Charles Danso, joined by my co-host, Daniel. Daniel, how you feeling this evening?
Feeling great, man. Feeling great. It's kind of rainy, but I'm super pumped either way. Excited for this episode.
Yeah, we're definitely excited to kind of discuss this episode topic. What we want to highlight for the audience is obviously brand recognition. We'll discuss more in detail as to what exactly that is. But if you are a business owner, if you are someone that is posting any type of product, doing any type of service, I definitely recommend tuning into this episode or recommending it to a friend or family or a coworker, whoever would be interested in learning more about building your brand, how important it is to have the right logo, how it's important to trademark a logo or copyright the literacy works behind a logo design of your business. But we'll get more in detail with that. Before we get started, I just want to give a shout out to our YouTube. This is at the Danso Solutions YouTube. That is our main entity of the Danso Pitch podcast. Subscribe if you're listening. Check us out on our website, dansosolutions.com. Make sure you check us out. Just check out our services. We do logo, web designs, and so much more. But definitely check us out. But Daniel, let's get started. So brand recognition. A lot of people have been kind of wondering what exactly that is. When somebody says, this is a company's brand. When we look at Apple, we think of, a half-eaten apple. When we think of Starbucks, we look at the forest trees with a smiley face. I believe that's it, right? When we look at
Yeah.
just Danso Solutions, we even have ours where we kind of just discuss, the solutions is like kind of like the bar loading. So what that basically means is like, us basically building services, building clientele, because the business tagline, and we'll get more into that, is engineering for small businesses or businesses alike. So again, a brand is a representation of your company or business entity. So what that basically means is what distinguishes you from the rest, what imagery distinguishes you, what service distinguishes you from the competition, and so much more. Daniel, do you have any other examples you would like to add for that?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, it's like, the impact that you're having on your audience. When people think of your brand is associated with a reputation that's reinforced through your content, through your products, your services, through the media, and anything that you do outside of those areas as well is all pulled into what's defined as your brand.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that comes with a lot of different marketing terms that we can get into later in the episode. But, what you have as your brand centralizes itself in a person's mind, like, okay, I want a phone, I'm thinking of Apple, I'm thinking of Android. I'm if I want a laptop, I'm thinking of, I think HP pops in my head. So these are like the little nuances that's associated with a brand that, it's such a simple thing, but there's so much that goes into it. When you think about crafting a logo, when you think about how you're designing your products to be in line with that logo, and also how you're expressing your pretty much mission statement and what your brand represents to the consumer through all of these other products and services that you do. So it's all pooled in. It's all like one kind of lateral line, and it's very important to really like know your own brand. Like understanding that process from the start of inception. Okay, like what am I going to do? Is this a clothing brand? Cool. What does the clothing brand represent? What is its mission? What impact am I trying to make? Because I feel like as an audience, you can tell when a company is just like a company. It's just here to make money. It's just here to like pump out some services, some products. And there's a difference between that and where the value is added for pumping out those products and services. So, and like Apple's a great example. Like I get fantastic service from Apple when I like dial up and I have an issue, or, I need to like fix my phone or get a new phone, and maybe a competitor may not have that same level of service. So it's just all those little things that really ladder up. It goes into what your brand is.
Yeah, so I mean, just kind of piggybacking off what you're saying, and more so for the audience tuning in as well. A lot of the key like terminology that I like that you use, and which I also agree with, is like you said, what services are your brand is your brand pushing out, so to speak. Like you said, for Apple, obviously we use Apple because it's probably one of the biggest brands in the world, not even just in the United States, a company that's been there for such a long time, for almost 30 plus years now. So, and they've been able to make themselves one of the most profitable companies in the world just off of the fact that, what their brand basically is more than just their logo. Their logo is a representation of how we distinguish them from other companies. But what makes Apple unique is their services and their innovation. Because the one thing that you always have to give Apple credit for, even in a down year for them, they're always able to come out with some type of product. If it's the
Yep.
MacBook like 10 or the iPhone
Always.
12 or something, like it's just something that always gravitates to their customers, and they know how to gravitate to their customers because they do things that are implementing something that maybe a customer may want to uh, know more about or want better quality for. Example, I believe I'm not an Apple user, but I do have some Apple products. Even the MacBook I'm using now, I should say the iPad, sorry, I'm using now. I went to Apple like a couple months back, and then I was just wanted to get it fixed. And as I'm getting it fixed, you're like, what do you like about this product? What do you think? This is what the customer service rep was asking me. What do you think could be better? And I was saying like, oh, like maybe like I love you guys' picture quality. I wish that with the view, like because sometimes when you're viewing it, like it's sometimes it'll flip, and then like it's like a weird angle on it, and then
Yeah,
lo
yeah.
and behold, yeah. And now I'm hearing they're doing it with like now they're coming with a Mac that has like an automatic lock screen. You don't even have to like touch it; it just does it for you by telling it. I'm like, obviously it wasn't me that gave that idea, but I'm just saying to say, I know that I'm one out of many other individuals that are just giving this to Apple, and they're able to do that. That's why if you do look at a lot of companies now, they ask for feedback
Hmm.
even after a call. If you call for service, they ask for feedback because the feedback they're using, that's part of their brand recognition, because they understand that as a customer, you're the one that's going to be driving their sales. You're purchasing their products, their services. So they have to know what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong. That's why a lot of companies ask for testimonials. That's why they ask for different things of that nature, because that allows the company to go back and say, okay, hey, this is something that a lot of people are saying that we may need to refocus on, or something that we can do better at. So that's something that I found very key in companies like Apple. Obviously, the blueprint, Amazon. I think I call Jeff Bezos one of the greatest innovators of the 21st century, one of the greatest leaders. The reason why is because outside of what the controversy that his employee pay and all that they're facing, in terms of how he built Apple, he built I said Apple, Amazon, excuse me. He built Amazon on the focus of customer recognition and customer loyalty. All the services are catered towards the customer. The customer is the number one driver in Amazon's success. So you have to credit Jeff Bezos because he used that to leverage a lot of his services. That's why we have Amazon Prime. We have Amazon TV now. Look at all these beautiful content that they're putting on Amazon TV now. Now they got Oscar nominated shows
Yeah,
and
it's
movie
crazy.
series, and it's like it's insane. Like so, it's just something that it's also adaptability. That's one of the key things I believe that can be
Hmm.
in the company is also, yes, you're growing your products, your services, but it's also adaptability. What that basically means is what the audience is looking for. What is the audience gravitating towards? What are we looking to do now that we're in COVID? We're home now. We watch a lot of movies. It's not a coincidence that Disney, Amazon, all these other huge conglomerates and industries are basically getting to the TV world now, because they know that we're home now. So instead of going to the movies, we can actually stream this. But, just to stay kind of more so on topic, Daniel, do you believe that a company can actually dilute their brand by having too many products or services under their belt?
I'm glad you brought that up. I was just about to say, like Amazon and Apple and these like major conglomerates that they are now, when they started out on like one or two product lines. Apple, when they started out, it was just iPhones and computers. I mean, like you didn't really have, Apple News or like Apple TV or, Apple Fit. You didn't have all these extra things funneled into their pool of products. It was just phones, computers.
Mhm.
So, starting out, I think that focus creates success because you want to have a certain product line kind of mastered. You want to have that point where supply and demand are like, at a good level before you venture out into something that, requires more it requires more of a supply, and the demand may not be, it may not meet what you have as a supplier. For example, let's say you're doing fashion, you're doing a clothing line, and you have shirts, you have jeans, you even do shoes, cool. But then you branch off and start to like add jewelry in there, and then you start to add like book bags, you start to add like more instruments and products to something that you're already in like one kind of industry, like in apparel. You're in apparel, and then you're moving on to like accessories, and then I think keeping in your lane at the beginning and mastering that lane
Mhm.
is going to be perceived well from the audience versus just trying to use this shotgun approach when you're just throwing and pumping out different services and products and hoping that one kind of sticks to your audience, because that's really gonna kind of drive sales away from you as opposed
Yeah.
to getting sales.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that's a lot of things I noticed with business owners, even including myself, early on. I think doing too much too early can actually turn audiences away from you. The reason is because you're still starting out. And another thing that I don't like, and I honestly, if you're a business owner listening to this, I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. You can't ask for money if you don't have any services to push out. People always come and like, oh, I need this amount of capital to get this business off the ground, this and that. And now I'm looking at their business plan. I'm like, did you get any sales? They're like, no. So I'm like, why are you coming to me? Honestly, because think about it. And I'm just in a smaller market. A lot of people will go to these big VC companies, angel investors, and then they're going saying that, hey, I'm asking for this amount of money, and then you have no hard assets. What hard assets is? What services, what products are you pushing out that's generating revenue? As a business owner, as Daniel mentioned, you have to start small early. And you have to understand that your company may not be profitable for the year or years ahead. You may not see profit until year 2, year 3. It literally took us a year and
Yeah.
a half over here at Danso Solutions to even get profit, get a sale through our service. And we had to promote, promote, promote. We had to get content out for that audience members, business owners, any type of service that you have, even if you don't have to be a business owner, you just have to work in some type of business. You have to push content early. Content could be ads, content could be just social media, but you have to leverage as a business owner or business owners. If you work for a business, a conglomerate, whatever it is, you have to push content early. So a lot, even if it's you as the sole owner, the sole proprietor, and let's say you don't have a business account, a social media account. Every business owner should have a business account. That's the number one thing, especially in this generation that we're in. You have to have a business account because you have to keep the business separate from the individual. So what that means
Very
is,
important.
yeah, because you have to think as a business owner 5 to 10 years down the line. This deals with brand recognition. When I think of Apple, I do think of Steve Jobs. I do think of Tim Cook. But Tim Cook took over after Steve Jobs and still was able to grow Apple to become $1 trillion business. Jeff Bezos is leaving Amazon, but Amazon seems to be having the greatest fucking year. Even in the interim of him about to leave and go on to something else. You can go into various businesses, not even just Amazon or Apple, even local businesses. You know, I mean, COVID took some hits for some small businesses, but what I'm trying to say is you have to have your business outlive you. I'm sure for the audience tuning in, you've heard that before, but it's really important. And how you do that is you have to separate yourself from the business. You do the work to build your business, and and your audience should know who's running the business, because obviously you don't want to go to Duke. That's what I call him. Duke is like a random person you just giving your money to. You want to have trust in your CEO, him or her, and the team around that CEO, that visionary. So you have to build, you have to build your team up, but you also have to separate the business by building the business as its own entity. It's like, think of your business as your baby. And if you have a child, obviously I never had a child, but trust me, I have a lot of siblings with a lot of kids, so I already know how that should go. So what I'm trying to say is you have to start small, baby steps. The baby has to learn how to crawl. The baby has to learn how to eat by him or herself. The baby has to learn how to play with other children. Think of it like a business. Your business has to learn how to walk by itself. The business has to learn how to get into a world where you have other babies that you're working with as well. So what that means is, Daniel, we're in the e-commerce technology sector. We also have other companies that are in the technology and business sector. So what are we doing that separates us from them? What would make an audience want to come to our business as opposed to the person down the block, or whatever the case is? This is where brand recognition comes into play. You can do something the same as someone else, but what can you do to actually get the numbers to come to you? Let me rephrase what I just said. What I'm trying to say is you can do the same thing as someone else, but you have to do something where the person that would want to go to your business over the other person. Now, this can be the face, this could be the CEO that maybe the person may gravitate towards to. Maybe we do something a little different where we go like, hey, we personally reach out and say, hey, thank you for coming to Danso Solutions. Thank you for getting this logo design, this website design. Maybe this other person just says, oh, thank you for your business, and keeps it moving. Maybe that separates it. You know, any little thing that you can do to get a leg up is important to your brand recognition.
And I think, like, you know, personal branding also is woven into that, because when we talk about who the face of the company is, you know, starting out, like, Charles, you know, you're the face of Danso Solutions, I'm a face of Danso Solutions. So when customers and our audience views us, they, you know, our personal brand outside of the business is going to impact the business perception in a whole, and that will, you know, because how we interact with individuals, even just on, you know, not even just a regular professional level, it doesn't have to be business transactions, you know, client, you know, getting clients, etc. It's just us being us. That in itself could either drive sales up or bring sales down. And that could be, and that's across the board for all businesses, because how you represent yourself outside of the company represents the company itself. You know, there is a separation, but there's not a separation in terms of the brand, because even though Tim Cook has taken over for Apple and Steve Jobs is, you know, no longer part of the organization, any memory of Steve Jobs and what he's done, or anything that could tarnish his, you know, reputation, will suddenly have an impact on Apple. I mean, Apple will still be fine regardless, but there's that tie that will never go away. The same thing with Jeff Bezos. If he, you know, does something that's extremely out of pocket, Amazon will still do great, but there will still be an impact on Amazon as a whole. And those are like large scalable companies, but starting out small, it's good to keep that in mind also. You know, like anything that you do on social media, you know, it's the same with a job. Like you have a job, you don't want to post nothing crazy. Like that is also going to impact your business, because clients are going to look at that. Potential clients will look at how you behave on social media and things like that. And then in the back of their minds, that's going to turn some wheels of like, okay, like, do I want to do business with this person? Do I want this person to design my logo, and et cetera, et cetera? So it's just keeping those things in mind also, because personal branding is very directly correlated with a company brand.
Yeah, and just to kind of tie in as to what you're saying, Daniel, a great example that I'll give for the audience is WeWork. I forget the CEO's name. I think it was Adam. I forget his last name, but I know he was the founder. But that is a perfect example of what Daniel's saying, is how the visionary behind the business can also deter the customers from that business or audience altogether based on how that person is acting. Because like Daniel's saying, the perception of a business is key to if somebody wants to invest with that business, if somebody wants to do service with that business. WeWork took a massive hit when it decided to go public. Why? Because the CEO, the founder, he was taking money illegally, using it on strippers, using it on drugs, doing stupid shit.
Super crazy.
People found out, and that deterred them away, because they're like, if I can even trust you with money to even grow this business, which was seen success. A lot of folks were using WeWork because WeWork, for the audience that doesn't know, those were small business spaces that you can go to. So let's say if you had a business, let's say you had even, it doesn't have to be a business. If you had a class, whatever the case is, you don't have any room, like a place you can go to. You can just, hey, go online, go to WeWork, whatever.com, or call them and say, hey, I'm looking for this amount of space because I need this business setting to host this conference, to do these deals with my business. I don't want to be home and do this. I want to be here. That's what WeWork come into play. I call it the Airbnb of business. That's what I call WeWork. And that guy had a great vision, but at the same time, through that vision, he messed it up. He messed up the beauty of WeWork because of the fact of how he was acting. Because that's where so like he said, reputation, like Daniel said, reputation is key. Excuse me. Reputation is key. If your reputation is sullied, a la the CEO, it doesn't even have to be a CEO. It could even be workers. Because even look at Amazon. Look how great Amazon is. But look at the massive PR hit it was taken because employees were complaining, I'm not getting enough money. But how's the CEO one of the richest men in the world, if not the richest? And
Yeah.
you're not paying your employees. You're not making sure they don't eat. And even let's say Jeff Bezos is so far removed. That man, you can't tell me the guy don't know that he's facing lawsuits, this and that for his company. So like I said, how you perceive your company, how you take care of your baby is ultimately what your baby grows up to become. Just like a parent, how you raise a child ultimately becomes how the business is going to grow, or your child is going to grow, so to speak. So if you neglect your child, your business, so to speak, your business is not going to grow. If you take care of your child, if you mold your child, if you go through right and wrong with your child, aka your business, if you know how to do better with your child, aka your business, I keep referencing the two, all one and the same, then your business knows right from wrong. Your business knows how to adapt in the outside world against other babies or other children, so to speak, or other businesses. So that's really important. That all deals with brand recognition. But transitioning, Daniel, it's not all sunny on this side of the business world. There are also other children. I call them bullies that come into play. And this is where trademark infringement and copyright infringement comes into play. Now, if you can quickly give a quick definition for the audience, so for those that
Yeah.
are tuning in for that. Yeah,
Yeah,
please.
this is the litigious part of this whole branding and trying to differentiate your business. So a trademark, to put it simply, is any name, symbol, figure, letter, word that's used on your product or services to distinguish yourself from others. And then a copyright is pretty much intellectual property that gives the owner exclusive rights to make copies of a creative work. So, like an example of a copyright would be like, you have a corporate logo, and that corporate logo is, that's your copyright. So you're the owner of the logo. So nobody else can use that logo for anything. They can't make copies of it. They can't put it anywhere. That's and we'll get to that. That's an infringement. And then an example of like a trademark is like similar thing. If you have like a certain like slogan phrase or even a logo on like a T-shirt or something, somebody can't like take that same exact or any paraphrase of that and put it on their own product. So put it simply that. And what Charles is alluding to is the infringement that lawsuits that could happen if you're not careful about and aware of these things, because there are instances where you could develop a logo for your business, but that logo may have already been used, or some variation of that logo could have been used for a completely unrelated product or service, a completely different industry, but there could still be some backlash with that, and that's what Charles will walk us through.
Yeah. So as Daniel said, in short, for the audience, just to kind of simplify that a little bit better, in terms of what Daniel has said, is a trademark it protects any type of name that your business is using, any type of business tagline. So example, let's say like ABC company, that name is trademark. You can't use that name after that. You can't use Apple because Apple is trademark. Fenty Beauty you can't use because that's owned by Rihanna and her people. You can't use Rock Nation. You can't use those names. You can't use those symbols. That's already taken. So in terms of if you try to even flip it, let's say I've seen people do this too. Like they'll take a business name and actually flip the words around. It's still protected. If it still spells out Rock Nation, if it still spells out Danso Solutions, there's a trademark behind that. That's what a trademark protects. Now, there are different classes of trademarks as well. Classes, like he said, you can use it for merchandise. You can use it for posters. You can use it for services. These are where all these trademarks basically distinguish between. If you have even a financial company, if you have a fashion company, all these trademarks are protected through different classes. Copyrights, on the other hand, protect literary works. Excuse my tongue twist. Literary works. So what that means is, let's say you're a music artist and you have lyrics. There's a copyrights behind that. And there are certain cases where people will literally take somebody's lyrics and use it for themselves. You can get sued through that. Same thing with a trademark. Copyright also protects a website. A lot of people don't know that. If you have terms of service on your website, if you go to certain websites, people never scroll down to all the way to the bottom of any website. This could be a huge company to even the smallest company. Always read. You see where it says a little C, or they have a little R register next to it. The little C that's circled, like with the @C, that's a copyright. The little R is a registered trademark. So always read those terms of service, terms of agreement, a privacy policy, because those are copyrights. What that basically means is, for you to go on this person's website, these are certain things you can do and not do. So some websites, you can't take certain wordage. You can't go through a third party through that website, because if you do, you can get in trouble for doing that. A lot of people don't realize that. Also, copyrights have different classes as well. So a great example of what Daniel is saying, and I'll keep the most recent this week with Lil Nas X. Lil Nas X came out with these. I guess he was trying to be funny, because I know he's a big troll. I follow him. I like the kid. He's funny as hell. But basically, he came out with these sneakers, these like demonic type sneakers, and he put it on the Nike shoes. It was like a pair of Nike shoes. It wasn't him, but I think it was like his representation. They basically purchased a bunch of Nike shoes, and then he basically went and did his own twist on it. But where he fucked up on, where his people fucked up on, was they kept the little swoosh sign still on those shoes. And as a result, like I said, Nike is protected through trademarks and copyrights. So in regards, he used that's considered a copyright infringement because he used Nike's logo sign, the swoosh sign, and their sneaker design, and put his own thing on top of it without any clearance from Nike. And Nike made a statement and said, "We didn't give this guy clearance to use that on our shoes." That's why he's facing a lawsuit now. And that's why you have to be very careful as a business owner or even just anybody. If you're using somebody's works, if you're trying to copy somebody's, even if you copy somebody's ideas, that's a patent that you have to put in place. So what that means is if some people actually put a patent on ideas, so somebody comes up with an idea, let's say I come up with this invention, this new car called the I don't know, the Sunlight 2000. I may not have designed it yet, but if I put a patent on it, you can get sued for taking that idea. So this is very important for the business owners, for individuals on there. Don't use anybody's business or business idea unless you know that it's for certain not out in the world, because that's where a lot of people get sued at, and that's where a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people can face lawsuits. And you can even face lawsuits internally, because a lot of people don't realize that certain contracts that are signed, it's also protecting the business as a result. So as an employee, I know when we get 9 to 5 jobs, we don't actually read through all the like 20 some odd pages they send us to sign before we get the job. But if you do, a lot of it is protecting the business. They make it so lengthy because a lot of it is more so the protection of the business. So in case something happens, let's say you slip and fall, but you do it on purpose because you're trying to get money, and then they catch it on camera or something like that, you're protected. If you're trying to do a settlement, you may have to go through arbitration. These are all these things that you have to basically go through as a business. If you're doing work with a business, if you work through a business, if you do a 9 to 5 job, these are all things that are important. Now, how as a business owner can you protect yourself? How as just a regular customer, how can you protect yourself? Um, I think what is the trademark website? USPTO, that allows you
Yep.
to actually see the database of the trademarks that are basically listed. Now, the thing with the USPTO.com is not all trademarks are actually listed in there. There are some off trademarks. So what you can actually do is, um, if like I said, if you go to the business website, usually when you go on the terms of service, they will actually list their trademark representative, their lawyer or attorney who's representing them. So that's important to note. But basically, in short, Daniel, and I want to bring you in on this. The important thing is, like I said, being an individual is if you're going to want to use someone's idea, somebody's vision of something, make sure that you know that if you're going to do it, you get clearance from that person before doing it. I think that's most important. And like I said, even the Lil Nas X, even big companies like Apple has faced lawsuits for using certain things they weren't supposed to. Many other industries have faced the same thing. It's tricky, but like I said, if you're too lazy, if you feel like, hey, I don't want to read through these 40 odd pages, hey, sometimes it's good to say, put a little bread up, get a lawyer just to look through that shit for you. So yeah,
Yep. You never know. Like these, like having, these safeguards in place for your business could really save you money in the long run because I guarantee you, you do not want to be on the opposite end of a claim. Like you just see how much Lil Nas is being sued for. And yes, those numbers are extreme, but even on a smaller scale, these infringements can go between 250 and 150,000 roughly. So definitely want to consult, a legal entity or a legal representative to understand the nuances. And, even if let's say the worst case scenario does happen and you face this, it's all just a learning experience anyway, because every business goes through failure.
yeah.
Um, every business goes through these hurdles where they drop the ball on something and they just have to recognize that okay, that this is what it is and now I know to do better next time. And that's all a part of building the brand and building your, because you know, something like litigation and things like that, yes, that hurts the brand. And, it's good to keep in mind kind of these disaster recovery, or I like to call it brand disaster recovery methods in place, so that, should something happen, you have a plan to bring your brand back into the light, bring yourself back into, where, bring sales up, bring projections up. That's why you see companies quickly, when something happens, they're quick to release a statement to the audience. They don't just let, whatever happened just sit there.
Mhm.
They like a statement comes out sometimes in the next few hours if some shit goes down, because these are disaster recovery methods to protect the brand, because the brand is now in jeopardy. The brand has been, it's in danger of with audience perception, whatever
Mhm.
the hell they did. So, just keeping all of these things in mind, because it will happen. Shit happens in business. You as you go through, in the words of Will Smith, he says, fail often, fail forward. These are things that are bound to happen anyway. But as you get higher, the
Mhm.
higher the levels, the higher the devils, they say. So when you get to these, you're just starting out. So the what's gonna come at you is just, it's gonna be small punches, and you can take them, but you're taking them to grow to the bigger strides, because the big stuff, the bigger your company gets, the more things that's going to happen. So keeping those things in mind, just have that type of disaster recovery ideology in place in the event, you know shit gets real, lack of a
Yeah,
better term.
and like Daniel's saying, and this is something that I had to learn too, is a lot of times save your bread in the business. When you're making money through a business, save it and reinvest it. The three things that you need to save your money towards in any business is your accounting, your legal, and your cybersecurity. Those are the three. You have
Mm.
to make sure that your taxes are in order and you're paying your taxes to Uncle Sam as a business owner. Your brand. Your brand has to pay taxes. Your brand has to be legally protected. And you have to legally protect the people that are working in your business, including yourself. And the third thing is having cybersecurity, where cybersecurity is not necessarily just, a lot of people think cybersecurity is just, oh, hackers, this and that. That's one piece of it. But cybersecurity is also, what agreements do you have in place and within your website, your products, your service, that kind
Hmm.
of tie in with the legal aspect as to what is protecting your business. Because cybersecurity can also be something like, if somebody does hack it, you're able to get that person, you can sue for thousands of dollars. Because like Daniel said, it is expensive, but it's less expensive to protect yourself than, and more expensive to pay out than what you're bringing in. So even if, like I said, even if with your individual money you're down to $0, and you say, fuck, I got like 5 stacks in my business account, but I gotta pay my lawyer 3 stacks. You better stretch out that 2,000. Don't go buy a car because you know that another car is like 3-4,000. Just build your business. Once your business money is making interest money on 3 times, then you can start to flex it a little bit and say, hey, maybe I can put a little bit of money into this. But even when you're doing that, make sure you're buying it through the business so you can write it off. But we'll get into
Mm.
that in another conversation. We're gonna do another episode where we'll bring back our tax guy, hopefully, or bring back somebody new that can kind of give you the breakdown of write-offs. But for now, like I said, what we wanted to highlight, Daniel, I want to get your last thoughts as well, is brand recognition, protecting your business, understanding how to have the right logo. Come to us, Danso Solutions. We build logos for you. We build websites. We have business. We have built websites and logos for business owners now that are doing so much better because they have something that represents them, that represents their business, their vision. So come to us, www.dansosolutions.com. We will have it in the description for this episode. Check us out. Again, protect your business. Build your business, build your service, build your products. Doesn't matter if you're selling water on the street. make sure that you have a business behind that water company that you're building. If you're building e-commerce, make sure it's a representation of you and an e-commerce business. Remember, your business has to outlive you. I can't stress that enough. It has to outlive you. Even if you're lucky and you live to 100, your business should live to 300. Think of it like that, because that's how the next generation eats off of what you're building today, which is your kids. Even if you don't have children, everybody got nieces and nephews or somebody that that can take over, or somebody that can supersede. It doesn't even have to be a family member. It could just be somebody that can come in. What did we say, Daniel? Steve Jobs passed. He had his understudy Steve Jobs passed, and then Tim Cook came and took the reins.
Yep,
You know
and pretty much said it all, Charles. Like it's all about how your brand is expressed and how much of an impression that brand has on your audience. So make sure, as Charles said, protect your brand. Know that your personal brand represents your company brand, and keep yourself and your company in alignment with the goals that you have for whatever industry you're in. And we'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for this episode, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Please like, share, subscribe on YouTube if you enjoyed this video. We'll be having more videos coming to you in the next few weeks. Have a lot of content coming your way, so stay tuned on the Danso Pitch.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, thank you, Daniel, for helping out today, coming in, man. It's always fun, being with you, man. Just kicking it, understanding how to drop this lines for the audience out there. Like you said, subscribe through the Danso Solutions YouTube channel. The episode is exclusively there, as well as the Danso Solutions website. I will have the description up there for you. Once this episode is uploaded. Happy Easter, guys. The next time we meet, me and Daniel will be together, so you guys don't have to see the split screen. You can see everybody in one.
This is the last of the split screen, guys.
Yeah, I've been hearing people saying, we guys keep doing these split screens. We're gonna come together and finally do one screen so you guys can see everybody in one. So again, thank you guys. Again, the episode, I think 39, brand recognition will be available. Subscribe, share this with anybody. We do this, we get this game out for you guys. This isn't just a benefit for us. This is something that we go through, something that we want to give to the audience, right, Daniel? Where they can learn from, they can benefit from, and they can pass it to others. So share this episode, subscribe, and check us out in the next episode. Again, happy Easter, happy spring, and we'll see you guys later. Take care.